Hi, it's Jemima, the connection coach. Um, this masterclass has actually changed in subject matter because I recorded it once and it went wrong. So what I wanted to deliver to you today was some information about structure for safety. So I believe that we are all familiar with the kind of ping back action of when we have a strong desire and we back ourselves and we back our desire and we move towards it, but there is not enough safety in the system for that to be sustainable. Oh, excuse me while I fiddle with the light. There we go. There's not enough safety, so we end up just pinging back to where we were, or even a little bit further back even than that. So there's this big contraction that happens. Let me give you an example of that. So an example might be that you want to alter your well-being on some kind of physical level. So you want to try a different diet, or you want to try an exercise regime. So the desire is strong and it's aligned in your mind. It's mentally a good idea. And you kind of know somewhere in you that you can do it. So you start. Now, what can happen is we get really excited at the beginning and we start with really great power because we're full of intention. It's been forefront in our minds, and we start to move towards very quickly. So as we begin, the momentum is strong and we make a great start. Then what tends to happen is we meet obstacles that put us off our flow, or we get overtaken by old habits. So maybe we start to pick unhealthy foods or snack when we wouldn't usually, or maybe we just forget to do the exercise, or we miss a day and then we miss another day. What is actually happening within that causes this is that our brains are used to homeostasis. So our brains have a function that instructs our bodies to not undertake dramatic change, because dramatic change can be really detrimental to human life. So in an evolutionary way, we would be well designed if we were to resist dramatic change, like massive change in temperature or massive change in activity and how much energy we output. So what happens is our subconscious, which is always looking out for us and always wanting us to survive and wanting us to thrive, starts to create ways in which we can minimize that change, which can often look very much like us not doing the work or not sticking to a program, not sticking to a plan, when in fact it's our brains trying to protect us from this dramatic change, because it's a big change to our routine. So in a way, it's really true that we are not responsible for these particular kinds of self-sabotage. It's not that we're doing it on purpose. It's not that we're weak. It's not that we're lacking. It's actually the way that we're designed as the human body with a brain. And this is something that is really important when we start to look at how we operate on all the other levels of our lives. So how we operate relationally with others. depending on where we come from and what our conditioning is, it can be easy, medium, hard, really hard, or almost impossible to shift those patterns in a way that gives us more of what we want and less of what is hurting us. Does that make sense? So the structure that is required for safety is an internal, it's what I call the healthy masculine. Lots of other people do too. It's an internal safety and structure that creates enough of this grounding feeling of safety within that our nervous system doesn't kick off and start to inform our subconscious that we should stop this immediately and that we should not follow this new way of being. We should not devote ourselves to this program or these new healthy habits, but actually we should stay the same, no matter how much staying the same is hurting us. So, how do we create structures that provide safety so that we can undertake sustainable change, which is incrementally beneficial rather than dramatically and shockingly different straight away? How do we do that? To begin with, we need to learn to trust ourselves. And that sentence on its own sounds kind of airy-fairy, I'm aware of that. Self-trust requires evidence. And in order for us and our minds to comprehend the evidence and actually create a stack of evidence that we can be trusted, we need to give it things to do and then do them. It's so basic, but it's really true. So for instance, rather than setting off on this huge undertaking of, I'm going to go with exercise again, an hour and a half of running per day, or an hour and a half of exercise per day, or going to the gym every day. We need to start small because we need to go gently. And whenever we go at the pace that our brains are thinking, that our conscious minds are thinking at, it's too fast for the body. And the subconscious is housed in the body. It's part of our nervous system. It resides in the body. So we need to honor the pace of the body. So the way we do that is starting gently. So in order to begin in a way that isn't shocking and that isn't going to cause that horrible ping back of rushing forwards with great intention and momentum and then pinging back because it feels dangerous on some level, we need to start slowly. So 5 minutes per day of exercise. And every 5 minutes that we complete, we stack evidence that we can be trusted. I said it's going to be 5 minutes. I did it for 5 minutes. The next day, I've committed to 5 minutes. I've done my 5 minutes. And after a few days, your brain is starting to understand the rhythm, the new pattern. The nervous system is soothed because it knows that nothing frightening is happening to your body, nothing threatening is happening to your body. It's just a gentle readjustment of what is. So that's the beginning of how we start to create structure for safety. When we apply this to relational safety, it includes our boundaries. So setting a healthy boundary that it might look like, I am going to take time to decide when someone asks something of me. So if they ask for my time or my money or my attention, I'm going to allow myself the time to consider before I respond. So this could be another amazing way that you can build up this self-trust, and create this safety for yourself so that you can prevent that awful ping back sensation. I don't know another way to describe it. If you felt it, that's exactly what it feels like. It's like this kind of joyous going forwards, and that can even be in the sensation of giving to another, that we have this kind of overjoyed generosity and forward motion, and then we realize that actually we have given too much, or we've said that we will do something and that doesn't really work and it doesn't fit for us. So we kind of ping back into this feeling of like, oh no, I've allowed myself to get into a situation that feels, and it's, although it's not dangerous, although we know it's not dangerous, the nervous system takes it as danger, because if it's something that is in conflict with our well-being on some level, it's going to kick us into that fight, flight, or freeze scenario. So how much better to start looking at the kind of boundaries that we employ around our relationships and connections with people, and start to consider how we can give ourselves enough to begin with, and just start small and do the thing, and then increase as needed. So it's equally no good to go the other way and to go, I'm going to say no every time someone asks me for something. I'm just going to refuse, because I know I need time and space to myself. I need to maintain my care for myself in high levels. That's also not going to feel good, because we need connection. We're interrelated as human creatures. So it's going to cause a similar response in our system when we are pushing people away and refusing that connection, because that's ultimately what we're doing. It's not an either or situation. It's not either I give everything to you that you need and suffer, or I make you suffer and have nothing and I have everything. It's interrelated. So we need to find that balance, and that balance, it can change depending on so many factors. The variables are almost infinite, which is why we need to give ourselves enough time for consideration, mindful awareness, and stay really present to what is here now, and have absolute clarity as far as we can with these people that we are interrelated with, because it's that clarity that also adds to the healthy masculine structure. Clarity is masculine, money is masculine, action is masculine, like holding and containment is masculine, and doing what you say you will do. They're all really masculine traits, healthy masculine traits. And without them, the feminine is not held, and she will either run rampage or she will dissipate and just kind of, like have no power and nothing. Like it's really hard to create from that space. Whereas when the container is steady and the structure is there and the shape feels solid, then she can fill it up, and there is power there. There's power, there's weight, there's choice of direction. It's the balance that we need. It's the yin yang that life revolves around, the dance and the play of opposites and complementary opposites as well. So this structure for safety is something that we create internally in order to know what it looks like and to request it of our other relationships. So whether that's a love relationship or not, it can be any relationship. It can be, here's a real world example. So there's a friend of mine who will very often be exuberant in in presenting opportunities for us to see each other, and we'll have a real loving, deep desire to get together and to meet, yet be really flaky in terms of the actual arrangements. So nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows whether it's going to happen today or it's going to be this week or it's not going to happen at all. And it's really recent for me that I have come to this person with, met with this exuberant, like, yeah, let's get together. Yeah. Oh, I love you. Yeah. It's recent for me that I've come forward and said, actually, I need to know when and for how long and where, because that helps me feel safe. Not to mention, it helps me organize my life. If this is a priority, then let's arrange it properly. Yeah, that's a real world example. And when I first did it, it felt kind of a little bit edgy, a bit like, oh wow, am I being really strict, or am I being not fun somehow in wanting to organize? Am I being too sensible? I had all these judgments on what it meant until I remembered that it didn't have to mean anything. It didn't have to mean anything. It was a request for a way of doing things that made me feel better. And that was worthy on its own. So this is really worth remembering. Think about all the ways that you can create shape and structure and form in your life, and within your interrelatedness with others. And that is an absolutely essential part of creating safety. So every time that we understand the container and we know where the edges are, then we are able to make a clear decision as to whether that's something we want to pour our energy into or not. And that clarity is also healthy in a masculine. So it's all connected, and it's all for our benefit, because when we start to feel safe and when our nervous system starts to relax a little bit, then we are able to really drop those old trauma patterns and coping strategies that we used to use once upon a time when we had nothing else, and that actually prevent us from deep connection. So it's not until we create the safety that we can allow those trauma responses to begin to dissolve, and in that dissolving make way for new healthier patterns, whether that's of relating, of living and being, or anything else. But it's not until we have that awareness and are able to kind of process that residue that's been left that we can then embrace and welcome new patterns that actually serve us and serve our desires and serve our intentions and where we want to be in the world, how we want to show up in the world. So I hope this has been helpful. I have been doing some extra learning in the last month or so as well, around being a trauma-informed leader. And although it's nothing new to me, it's given a form and a shape to some stuff that I was already aware of, and it's brought it more to the forefront of my mind as something that's really key and really important. Because if our nervous system is running the show, if our old traumas are running the show, we are going to have a really, really hard time doing anything different. And that is, like I said before, it's not our fault. That is how we are designed. What is our lookout is having that awareness to know that's what's happening, and then taking the steps to actually remedy that situation and to hold ourselves lovingly and to help ourselves so that we can do different next time. So if you have any questions, please speak up in the group connection school. I've moved you all across this month, and thanks for listening. See you next time.